Hello, my dear sister.
Hello to you.
It's wonderful to see you again. It's just feels like it was only last night because it was with our
It
uh,
was, yes.
with your meditation with the solstice energy that we're right in
Yes.
the thick of now. Um,
Yes.
really enjoyed that one. It was completely different again.
Well, I'm still feeling it too. I feel like I'm still riding the waves of that. And they did say they were going to be with us for the next 3 days as the energy
Yeah,
continued. Um, Now, it was different because the Council of Light led
yeah,
and orchestrated that meditation, that energy, and those activations. So I knew it was going to be different from the beginning because the Keepers of the Keys normally orchestrate. And while the Council of Light been coming through more frequently, this was their first time doing a major meditation like this. So yeah, just for the fact that they were coming through, I knew that it was going to be different from other solstice meditations. So yeah, I'm feeling like I need to do that again, and because we've it's like we've captured the energy. It's like a time capsule, and we're recording now on solstice. So the peak was just a few hours ago, and we did the meditation last night at the other end. Like we're just either side of that
yeah.
peak, and the solstice energies go for 3 days. So we're recording in the energies in the solstice energy now, and yeah, I don't think there's a coincidence that we scheduled in this video. I think it's important. It feels important that we're doing it in the solstice energies.
And also, like, I know it's not a full palindrome, but here we are on the 22nd of the 12th, 22. Like, it's got the two
Yes.
tapping it off all the way
Yes.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I don't think that was by design. It's just like we've been booking these in by Thursdays because that's worked out best for both of
Yeah.
us. So yeah, recording on that day, and just happens to be solstice, and just happens to be on this date.
Well, I probably want to unpack a bit more with the keepers of the keys, but I'm just thinking it was like the whole way through because I don't know if I want to talk to them about the term meditation too, because
Yes.
it's way more than
Oh, way more than a
meditation,
meditation.
what
Yes.
you
Yes.
offer,
Yes.
and what you co-create with.
Yes.
Um, so it's like
It's a
I
channeled
smiled the
energy
whole way
transmission.
through. Yeah, it's an energy transmission, and that's why I
Yeah.
want to the keepers a little bit further because it's
Yes.
just jumped in my head now. But I smiled the whole way through, like because you do have a tendency to knock me out when I was
Yes.
getting used to them in the
The
early
energy.
times, but
Yes.
I would actually like literally go to sleep. Whereas last night I was like wide awake
Yeah.
and
It was
just
very
I realized I
activating.
still had a permanent smile the whole way through. So
Love
like
that.
you, I'm gonna do it again because it was
Yeah.
just nice to just lay there and smile. And
Yes.
I don't recall anything that was said in that meditation other than
Yes.
the smile and the joy and the connection.
Yes.
So it'd be
Yes.
nice to reactivate that energy. Well, it's going anyway, but to just step
It's
back
look,
into it again.
it's going anyway for us who've been in it, but anyone who even didn't catch it live can still contact me and purchase the recording
Okay,
of
yep.
that meditation and go right into their energies, because like I said, it's like a time capsule of that energy. We've captured the energy, they're transmitting the energy, so like it's a channeled energy transmission.
Yeah.
But I even want to, even a channeled energy transmission almost feels like not quite 100% accurate, because I'm doing the channeling of what they're presenting to us, but they're doing the work. I'm not doing the work. So I'm not channeling the energy to you, they're channeling the energy to you. So how do you describe that?
Yeah, it's almost like I was just thinking, it was like the cleaning out of the pipes, like they
Yes.
connect in and it's like that connection, because we're all connected, but it's like that connection becomes stronger, or
Yes,
flow is easier. That might be
flow is
the
easy.
flow of connection is
Yes.
easier. Yeah.
Well, it was a very activating energy transmission, and bringing through the light. And yeah, look, it's interesting because when I first met my partner 4.5 years ago, he was like, this is not a meditation.
Yeah.
It comes from a very traditional meditation teaching. And I go, no, not technically. You're kind of, for me, it's like you're going into a meditation space. This is what, this is kind of like, my intention when I was first meditating with crystals was to meditate, because, I've heard so much about the benefits of meditation. And yet I would drop into that still space, but then immediately it's like this doorway opened and, the divine came through. And so for me, it was like a interaction with the divine. So I kind of feel, and I could be wrong because I don't have a traditional meditation practice. I haven't studied a traditional meditation practice. So I feel I'm not qualified to say this. I'll only know based on what my experience of what I do compared to, say, how my partner speaks about it, is like traditional meditation will drop you into that stillness. What I'm doing is helping you to walk through the door, that doorway to where the divine is, by dropping into the stillness, walking through the doorway. So it's like, yeah, it's a spiritual journey. It's a journey. Yeah. I don't know how else to describe it.
Meditation's been a big thing that been wanting to debunk all those myths as well. Like, it's not having to sit there and go for half an hour or any of that. To me, it's just to have your focused attention.
Focused attention is actually what a traditional, or at least a mindfulness meditation practice is. So understanding enough about mindfulness practice, it is all about bringing the attention, focusing back. And Dan Siegel, the neuropsychiatrist who has studied that traditional mindfulness meditation from a neuroscience perspective, has demonstrated has certainly looked at studies as well that have demonstrated that long-term meditators who do that bring the focus attention back to a focal point. So it could be like a candle or a bubbling little fountain or whatever the focal point is for you, that then reinforces and strengthens the middle prefrontal cortex, which is the part of the brain that integrates the rest of the brain and body. So it helps with our self-regulation. It helps us to feel calmer. It helps us to have more stable moods. Actually helps us to be more in touch with our bodily intuition. And this is all from the neuroscience. So there's a whole list of things that we can see from that. So there's a little bit of neuroscience. We're talking, you don't often, go from neuroscience to like a whole, channeled energy transmission. It brings up a whole other thing, but that is still beneficial. Absolutely. I just found, maybe it was just me, whether I just went somewhere in a whole other space. And I can identify a number of reasons why I think that's the case for me. For me, I needed music. I couldn't meditate in silence. I need to have a piece of music, and a crystal always helps.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so it was me meditating with crystals, let's call it meditation in inverted commas, that brought me to this whole process. It was a grand unfolding.
Well, I think that's a perfect time to start bringing in our guests. So today, of course, we've got the Keepers of the Keys.
Yes.
Our dear friends that are always with us.
Yes.
And Melchizedek.
Yeah.
Mother Mary.
And Mother Mary, yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
Mother Mary was here with us in our third episode, just as an introduction. So it'll be interesting to see what she brings through as a continuation, especially being that it's this time of year when
Yes.
that sort of, I suppose, the energy of that Christ consciousness is more alive.
Yeah. She has been coming in my channeled messages for the day and the week, etc. She's been coming through more frequently on her own. Like, she's part of that council of light energy, but she's been coming through as a singular energy. And that included the channel messages for the week. I think it was last week. And I think, coming up to solstice, the messages were that, Christ consciousness is coming through very strongly. And it's very interesting because whether it was her, whether it was the Council of Light, they've talked about this week being all about the celebration of light. With solstice, we're here in the Southern Hemisphere, we're at the time of the greatest light. And in the Northern Hemisphere, when it's winter solstice, it's about remembering the light in the darkness. So either way, we're looking at celebrating the light. What's interesting to me, of course, it's also Hanukkah week, which is all about celebrating the light. So I think that's really interesting to me as well. So, yeah, when we have this celebration of light this week, we have the Christed light coming through with golden ray. That's the light of Christ consciousness. So I think there's no kind of coincidence that she's wanting to come through for today's session.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well,
Melchizedek.
Melchizedek. Yeah, this is the first time he's come to us in this format.
This format, yes.
Yeah, we have worked with his energy in other areas of our lives, but it's really nice for him to come into the Soul Sisters channeling arena for us today.
Well, like I said before, I don't remember anything from the last time I channeled him for you.
Sorry about that. The computer that was fully charged just decided to die. So we had to reboot. So I'm back.
You're rebooted.
Yes.
That might be the theme.
I think that's a great idea for the theme. And actually, saying that, I was going to bring that up with the keepers to help with the theme because
I like it.
Yeah, I quite like that rebooting. Yeah.
Yep.
Rebooting.
Energy reboot.
Yeah.
Well, like I was saying last night, I feel like this whole space, the whole temple of the volcano has had an energy upgrade. So that might very well be the theme.
Yeah. Energy upgrade. That's even another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was going to talk to Thepas because I had this thing about trust coming in, trusting ourselves, and it's everybody's energies are pretty peaked at the moment with all the things going on, getting ready for the Christmas holiday festive season, and interesting what they think about those names that have just come through now. Thanks to technology failing.
Thank you, technology.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be doing what we're doing now.
That's right.
Okay, so time to bring them through.
That would be wonderful.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome, dear ones. We are the keepers of the keys. Happy to be with you.
We're very happy to have you here. And as you've probably been listening to, I'm feeling a little frazzled, and I think I'm picking up on the collective's energy of just coming to the end of the year, end of that cycle.
Yes.
Preparation for people. A lot of people are moving around to get to different families and friends to have that holiday time with, and present purchasing and closing down businesses that are closing for the Christmas season and all that. And also picking up a bit of like people worrying about, oh, I have to be with that certain person on Christmas Day that they don't normally get along with. So a lot of that going on. And then with my computer just dying, we were hoping that you would help us with the naming of this channeling episode, being it's our final one for this year.
Yes.
And Energy Reboot was one that just came up, but we thought we'd leave it in your hands for this one.
Well, we have lots to say on all that you have said, but let's pick the name, and we agree with you, Energy Reboot.
Yep, done. Love it. Thanks, computer, for collapsing and helping us come to that name.
It is a sign like anything else.
Yeah.
So what we will say, interesting that here you have the two of you, two very different roles in what is unfolding here. You are holding the energy of the questioner. So with the questioner comes up all the issues that are coming up for discussion. Vicky's been holding the energy of the solstice, which is in the light, and she has been calm, if a bit tired from all the energy, but energized on a whole other level, just swimming in that sea of energy that has been coming through. And this is a really good demonstration of the split of energies at the moment. Everyone has access to this light-filled Christ consciousness energy that is palpable at this time. If you give yourself some moments, some stillness, because your bodies need to be still to receive it. Now, your bodies can be still even in a walking meditation. So let us be clear that it's not just the stilling of the bodies. There's a presence of the mind, the stillness of the mind. And let us be even more accurate. It is not so much a stillness of the mind, but a dropping of the mind into the heart. That is the key. So anytime you drop your mind into the heart, you can be present. Now, that is the gift of presence, very different to the gift of presence you are talking about with the gift giving of Christmas. And so there you have all the stresses, the pressures, the traditions, the customs, the expectations of what this holiday may bring. Now, interesting, Vicky was reading very recently on the Humans of New York page on Instagram, and they're on Facebook as well, talking to a man who has played the role of Santa and the role that Santa has played in his life. And interestingly, Santa Claus was not very well known until 1865, when the department store Macy's decided to have a Santa Claus as part of their Christmas tradition and their Thanksgiving parade. Then all of a sudden, Santa Claus is everywhere. Now, make no mistake, there's no coincidence that a department store that is wishing to promote sales is promoting Santa Claus. Now, it's not to say that there isn't magic in the story of Santa Claus. There's magic in the story of Saint Nicholas, who was a man who gave gifts to all the people, all the children in his village, because of the generosity of his heart. And so his spirit lives on through the tradition of gift giving. Now, however, that he gave that in a very different spirit to the commercialization, the capitalist impulse, the consumerist impulse of gift giving. Now, it's not to say that we're going to poo-poo upon gift giving. That is not what we are saying at all. But understand that there are impulses within your society that underpin all of this gift giving that goes outside completely of what the Christmas spirit is. And while gift giving can be a wonderful exchange of energy and a time to honor people at a special time in your life, it can come with a lot of stress and pressure. Now, not to say that on top of this, if anyone is experiencing poverty or financial duress, is going to have additional pressures at this time because of the financial stresses of gift giving. And we see it as a shame that in your society, gifts of time and gifts of something that was handmade or created by that person is not valued as something that has been bought, when it should be the other way around.
Definitely.
So what we would say is it is a good time to review how you give your gifts. What expectations are there around them? What expectations are there of you? This is all part of the spiritual journey, exactly as you would on anything else, is review how these expectations are put upon you. Where did they come from? Is it truly what's in your heart? And if it is in your heart, then embrace it. And find out ways to do it in a way that supports you rather than takes away from you energetically. Because there is a frenzy and a frenzied energy that comes with this time of year. And it's interesting, Vicky has struggled with the concept of promoting gift giving as a seller of crystals because of all of this. And so she has done it more this year, not as, we want to be clear that in being honoring her intentions, that for her, if something is bought with the intention of giving something special, something healing to someone, then she wants to honor that experience and wants to make that as valuable an experience for that person. And so it comes with her crystal reading. So there's an awareness of the healing that is coming up with that person, with that crystal, whether it's the smallest tumble or the biggest purchase. And so that is done with that intention. So we're not saying disconnect completely from the idea of gift giving, but be more intentional with that. So similarly, when you are moving through this period of time, there may be times that you have fallen into that energy that you've picked up on, Kerry, that there is frenzy, there's pressure, there's expectations, and you're feeling the stress of that all. And while for some it is a very special time of year, for others it is the most triggering times of year. And so we will speak to these people as well, particularly when it comes to triggers around family. The expectation to be with family at this time, while it can be a beautiful thing, it can also put undue pressure on people to see family when they are the source of your pain. If that is the case for you, we're going to give you some tools and some strategies to navigate that energy, not just at Christmas or Hanukkah or any other time where you are called upon to be with family, but birthdays, other special events, Mother's Days, Father's Days, etc., all of that coming into play. Now, this is where it can be also useful to review our previous discussions in looking at boundaries and how does that navigate with being in your heart? Because here is Christmas, a time to be in your heart, or all time should be a time to be in your heart, but also having boundaries around your energetic space, your interpersonal conditions that make you feel safe, honored, and respected. So that we will not go back over. So if you want to go back to our personal power discussions, that will have that there.
Yeah.
So what we would say is, firstly, review. As we've been saying, review what would be your ideal scenario for you, what it would be your perfect Christmas or your perfect holiday gathering. Who would it be with? What would you be doing? Where would you be doing it? For some, it may be being at home. For some, it may be going away. For some, it'll be not with family. Some, it will be with family. And this is where ultimately you get to choose how you choose to spend your time and energy. Now, even when you're feeling those obligations to meet with family, you may say, I choose to honor this family tradition, even though I do not love it, because I am honoring my family to be with them at this time. Yeah. So my gift will be of time. I'm gifting you my time. So then you may then go, do I need to put any boundaries over my time with my family? And so that could be around comments they may make, the amount of time you spend with them, where that will be, etc. So you can be specific around that. We invite you to mind map it out. Do not make any assumptions about how it should be, because this is how it's always been done. And this is what your family expects you to do. Now, in these circumstances, we're assuming that you are safe enough to be able to challenge family expectations. So if you are unable to do so safely, then that is a whole other matter. And that's when you need to call in additional support. Now, once you have reviewed the conditions, the amount of time, you can then look at, once you are there, what are little safety escape routes that you may need to cope with that situation. Say a family member is being triggering. Are there statements you need to prepare already in advance so that you don't freeze in that moment or overreact in that moment? And therefore you have readily prepared that are not unkind, but also assertive in sticking up for you. The other could be, do I escape to the bathroom? Do I escape downstairs out into the garden? We know for some it'll be having a cigarette, for others having a drink of alcohol, and we'll get to that discussion. And for others, it'd be like, well, how can I take a moment, 5 minutes, say I'm just going to get some fresh air. I'm just going to walk down the road. Now, we know that usually on Christmas Day, you won't be able to walk to the corner store, grab something, come back as an excuse. But, you have time. If you have a dog, good time to take your dog. The dog needs a little bit of a walk. Let's go, dog. Now, these are the things that you can have as your escape routes. And you are disconnecting from that charge in that moment. You are applying what is soothing to yourself in that moment. So what else could be soothing? A walk with a dog would be soothing for some. Others, it will be oils. Others will be crystals. You can call upon us to surround you. You don't have to wait until you're in a triggered situation. You can do that in advance. But certainly in a moment of, could be even the mildest crisis or trigger or charge, you can ask us to come in and help support you in that moment and to help navigate the remainder of that exchange. So the other thing will be find a tree. Either put your hands on the tree, your feet in the roots of the tree, or you back up against the tree, or all of the above, however you want to manage that. And thank the tree and Gaia for supporting you, allowing you to release your energy. Yes. And help ground you again. And then visualize your roots going into the roots of that tree. So that when you go back in, if you choose to go back in, you'll be more rooted, more grounded, and less destabilized by what has unfolded. Now, there may be circumstances that you will have decided, no, I'm not going back. And you may, again, decide in advance what they may be, or decide in that moment. And you don't not need to announce your departure. You can send a message, say, I've chosen to leave, and return to your safe zone. And identify that in advance. Is that home? Is it your car? Is it by the beach? Somewhere in nature? Is it with a beloved pet? What is your safe zone? So if you're going visiting your family with a partner or somebody else, have a signal to each other and saying you need to go now to your safe zone.
And it's an honoring of yourself too, and giving yourself what you need in that moment.
Yes.
And I love the idea of mind mapping, because I think already that will take some of the charge out of what you feel you may be walking into.
Yes.
You do that mind map. Now, okay, I've got a bit of a plan. I'll be okay.
And take that plan with you, because in that moment where you freeze, you may go completely blank and forget what you had set out that you would do.
And that's what I like. We did the Sweet 16 in our last channeling, and that's another thing. If you go to the bathroom, you can do that 16-second breath, and that might help you then also step into, okay, you've calmed your nervous system down. What's my next step? Do I need to leave? Am I, what's in my mind map that I can draw on now?
Yes. And Vicky has a couple of tips around the vagus nerve and breathing as well to help calm the body. One is the longer out breath sends a signal from that middle prefrontal cortex to the amygdala to calm down. So the amygdala is the smoke alarm of the brain. So if you breathe in for 4 and then out for 6 is a beautiful way to calm the body. So the way you would breathe into a straw or blow bubbles would be a perfect way to demonstrate that. Now, the other thing is the vagus nerve runs through different parts of the body. It's one of the longest nerves in the body. And let's demonstrate by taking this out. This part of the ear, if you rub it, it's an anxiety point. It stimulates the vagus nerve. So Vicky likes to put oils here before she goes anywhere. But that you can squeeze or massage or even go into the ear with your finger, and that helps stimulate the vagus nerve. What else stimulates the vagus nerve? Music. Take your headset if you need to. Create a filter of energy around you by having beautiful music on. Not necessarily saying tune out everybody else, but it's like a filter. So you have a filter of beauty or love around you. So not everything has to come into you. The other one is where the vagus nerve runs through just below the rib cage, through the diaphragm. So you can do those breath exercises while bending over, and that stimulates the vagus nerve.
Okay.
Now, one final thing, and this comes from an EMDR practice, is butterfly tapping. That there's that bilateral stimulation, it's rhythmic. And if you want, you can keep it still and hold yourself, because that this comes from Peter Levine and somatic experiencing. It helps to remind you of what your energetic boundaries are, because you're holding on to your physical boundaries. But then you can do the tapping, and that comes into that rhythm, and the rhythm is soothing. It helps to mitigate that stress response. Now, you may want to start up more vigorously and really get it going, because that's where your heart rate's at. But then start to slow it down and help regulate your heart rate back into what is a more baseline. So these are ways, little tips and hacks for you during this Christmas time, so that you can come into a more mindful, a more present, and a more calm state during this holiday period.
So on the flip side of that,
yes,
Vicky was just telling me before we come online about she went to a party, a Christmas work party that of the place. I'm not sure of the name, the hidden
source.
The hidden source, that she's just started going in and working with them there.
Yes.
And that she went to this party, and I know Vicky doesn't go out. She's not a drinker.
No.
To these types of events. She goes out, but not to these types of events. So she's gone along, and even though she was only drinking water, she was actually energetically feeling the effects of everyone else drinking alcohol around her, and feeling a bit unbalanced, and actually woke up the next morning feeling hungover.
Yes.
So while we are managing ourselves with mind mapping and that sort of thing, if that's what we need to do to go to a party, what about us that are on that choice of having some alcohol?
Yes.
And how that actually affects us, because I myself also went out a couple of weeks ago, and there was 3 parties back to back, and I indulged in a few glasses of wine here and a gin and tonic there, and I don't normally drink that much either, but this weekend it was like back to back, and here I am 2 weeks later and I'm still feeling the effects.
Yes.
Also feeling that it's possibly because the work that we've been doing, we're taking in more and more light into our bodies, whether that's part of that, and we're not coping with those. For me, the physical drinking of alcohol. For Vicky, it was just being around the energy
of alcohol. Yes. Now, some of what we will say may upset some people.
Probably me.
Alcohol is a toxin. Even physiologically, if we just look at how it affects your bodies, it is a toxin. Now, also what's true physiologically is that each person responds to alcohol differently. What's also true is each person will develop tolerance to alcohol over time. And so they will seem to not have any effects of alcohol because they built up tolerance. Now, this is, we can talk to any drug and alcohol counselor and they can tell you at least this. What we would say, and we're not saying that you need to be a teetotaler like Vicky and never drink alcohol. What we are saying is that if you know that you're imbibing in a toxin, knowingly, if you're choosing it and you're consciously choosing it, know that it is a toxin to your body. It is something that your body will have to process and discharge. Now, your body at different ages and at different stages of your life, but also in different levels of consciousness, will discharge that in different ways. So it is about being more in tune with your body and what your body needs to be able to discharge. So for some people, it means having a glass of water between each drink. It slows down the process of imbibing in that alcohol, and it also allows the body to process and it, because alcohol is dehydrating. Now, if you're going to use alcohol as the mean to support you during your family, and that's the only way you can get through, then we will acknowledge that. We are not saying that now is the time to give up something when you are the most vulnerable. But it is something to be mindful of in the future about how your whole relationship with alcohol is. It is the most socially acceptable drug. And knowing that is something to then again review, just as you would anything else on your awakening journey, on your spiritual journey, review your relationship with that and what its role is. Now, some people feel like they must drink it because this is what you do when you go to a party. So it's just then the expectation of drinking. Now, it can feel, Vicky's gone to places where it's a Christmas drinks and she's been the only one not drinking. Now, that wasn't this work party, but somewhere else. And it's making a statement, and it can seem at the beginning a bit uncomfortable when you're making a statement that you do not drink and everyone else around you is drinking. It is not that you're coming from judgment. You're just coming from, this is just my boundary for myself. For Vicky's body, she does not tolerate alcohol. It's not to say she was always like that. But as she is now, certainly. And while she's had very specific intolerances, and we would say even allergic reactions to alcohol along the way, they were all signals to her that alcohol is and her body do not mix. Now, she also is always in the Akashic Records. She always has her Akashic Records open. These are libraries of light. The Akashic Records are one of the libraries of light. When you are filled with light, and Vicky is in that energy, a toxin and the light don't mix very well.
No.
So our apologies to those who are offended by that statement. But if you know this, there's so much that is around you that will lower your vibration, if temporarily. Alcohol is one of those. It is a spirit, small s. So for those who particularly are dependent on its use, it will invite spirits, lower s, and usually ones you do not wish to have around you. So we're talking more when it comes to excessive use, whether it's a dependency on a daily basis or whether it's dependency on binge drinking. So it is something to keep in mind for the holidays. The holidays may not necessarily be the time for you to review that, but certainly we know you then look at your New Year's resolutions to shift perhaps or review perhaps what you're looking at. We don't like the term resolution. It feels forceful. It's a resolve with the will. We prefer intentions. And so we would say January is a wonderful time to set intentions for the coming cycle for the year of 2023. Birthdays are another good time. Anytime there is a new cycle, that is why the new moon is also a good time to set intentions. So new cycles of energy, a birthday is a new cycle where the sun, you're having your solar return, so it's another cycle of the sun. The year is another cycle. Solstice is another cycle. That's why it's such a powerful time to set intentions in solstice. So you can set your intentions perhaps to become healthier or to reclaim your health in some way. And then you can review how are you going to do that. The alcohol may be part of that, or it may not. You have free will, dear ones. And we know that alcohol is not going to disappear upon your planet anytime soon. And we are not saying that you can't be spiritual and not drink alcohol. And we're not going to say that those who do not drink alcohol are more spiritual than others. It is just dependent upon their particular physiologies, experiences, and family traumas and experiences, because family trauma is passed on. So therefore, patterns of coping, because it's a coping mechanism, patterns of coping are therefore also passed on. So while some will say, oh, I have an addiction history in my family, actually you got a coping mechanism history. What's the coping mechanism for? For pain, for wounding, for trauma.
Mm-hmm. And I know that part of my awakening experience those years ago was I was at my rock bottom and drinking too much and other things. But for me to make that change just overnight, I still used a wine glass, but I swapped and I was making my own kombucha.
Yes.
So everyone else would have their wine, but I'd have my kombucha, but I'd have it in a wine glass. So
nice.
That way I was still in that celebrative energy,
yes.
that I was putting into my body what I preferred at that time. And I think it's a reminder for me to possibly go back to that practice.
You could use apple juice in a champagne glass.
Yeah.
So it looks like champagne. You could use sparkling water if Vicky doesn't tolerate sparkling water. She does not like it, so it doesn't work for her. So there are ways you could do that, and that's ways to transition away from that. So when you're aware of what you're putting into your body, it's either going to be filled with light or it's not. And some will be filled with more light than others. And so when you are very sensitive to what you're putting into your body, you're going to be more sensitive to your choices.
Wonderful. So all great tools and guidance for us in this moment we're in.
What we'll also say is that sometimes you can feel the most lonely in a crowd of people where you feel disconnected from them, and that can include family. And what we want to say is that you are not alone. And we know that Mother Mary is here with us, agreeing that you can call upon us to know that you're not alone and feel that you're not alone. To know that you are seen, to know that you are heard. Even without speaking, we hear you because we see and hear your vibration. So we feel you, in other words. So when you are feeling alone, know that you are not alone, and know that there are many people, more than you can possibly know, out there experiencing the same experience, perhaps expressed in a slightly different way. And if you can, from that moment, connect to all those people through a thread of gold, connecting with the Christ consciousness light to every single person. And we can do this now. And Mother Mary is helping us do this now. As we send a thread of gold, Christ consciousness energy, to the heart of every person watching this, to every person ready to receive this heart connection Anyone who's feeling lonely or disconnected or feeling uncomfortable with their family or the people they're having to spend the holidays with. We'll include those who have to work, your medical staff, workers everywhere, and maybe hospitality staff. Those who are experiencing strife and conflict and trauma. Those who are suffering with mental illness or physical illness. Those who are unsure about how to hold their light when it seems like there's so much darkness around them. We send a gold thread connecting you all connecting you to us, to Mother Mary, knowing that the Christ's light is with you. And you can tap into the true spirit of the holidays by connecting to the light and the light of Christ consciousness. So you may feel sustained by the light, held by the light, received by the light. According to your free will choices, so be it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Kind of brings me, like Vicky and I were talking about meditation practices and how we call her solstice
yes,
night a meditation, and when it doesn't really cover what
it
goes
doesn't.
on with Vicky and all of you that are supporting her through the solstice meditations and all that she's offering the world.
Yes.
But even for us as soul sisters and that sort of thing, it's like we call it a form of meditation, but the last few have had quite strong activations and energy transmissions that I personally have really picked up on. But I feel that every time we connect with you in this way, that those transmissions have been going on in the background even when we're not even aware of them. Is that
absolutely
correct? Yeah,
that is absolutely correct. For those who first receive an Akashic reading with Vicky, now, as you would know, she channels us when she's giving an Akashic reading.
Yes.
So when she opens their Akashic records and we come through, even before we speak, people will sometimes cry.
Yeah.
Whether it's with our very first greeting or even before we speak, because I feel the energy. I feel the energy. We are constantly emitting our energy. We do not have to think about this. You do not have to think about the energy that you are emitting. You are responding to our energy. So even in our words, in our presence, there's an energy transmission. Yet what we just did there is a more direct energy transmission that we are purposely sending for you to receive. And we say according to your free will choices, because we would not create in your experience if you do not wish it. If you do wish it, it's a co-creation. You're allowing us to send this through. We are not forcing you to connect with us. It is an invitation for connection.
And like you say, that free will gives that opportunity for us to allow.
Yes.
And in our allowing, connecting with you.
Yes. So anyone who calls on angels or the Christ of light or divine support, you may think of it as a bank of divine offerings that have been emitted by light workers all around the world, and you may tap into that energy. What we are, what the Council of Light, all of us, what we're constantly emitting to the collective, you may tap into that.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you. I love the connection. And I was going to talk a bit more about solstice, but I think I'd like to hold that conversation for Melchizedek. Yeah.
Yes. And for Mother Mary.
And Mother Mary, of course. Yes.
So we will withdraw our energies. Mother Mary wants to come through first.
Oh, okay.
Now, we know you're feeling, and Vicky was feeling the other way around, but she wants to come through first because she wants to pick up this thread.
Lovely. Lovely how you weave that together.
Yes. Should we say pun was intended? Okay. We will see you on the other side at the end.
Lovely. Thank you.
I indeed wish to pick up this thread.
We welcome that with an open heart. Thank you.
You're welcome. I am Mother Mary. I did wish to speak about solstice and the Christ consciousness that is flowing through. I thank you for your honoring and wearing blue for me. And let me say my particular shade of blue.
Oh, really? I always saw you as a softer blue, but there you go. Because this is my favorite color.
Softer blue, not necessarily. It depends on how you receive me and how you need me to come through. Sometimes I'm a blazing blue sapphire light in my fullest strength. And yet I soften, if you want to use that word, into the aquamarines. To support you opening to the higher heart, into the inner sanctum of the temple of your hearts, where you may hold your Christed light.
Lovely, thank you. And I was just thinking about the solstice, as we're calling it, a meditation, even though we know it's so much more, and we must look for a better description, I think. But for Vicky's solstice meditation last night, like the keepers just said, when Vicky sort of opened up the blue volcano and brought all the energies through, it was like I had tears of joy straight away. And then it's not like any other meditation or gathering for solstice or any other ones we've done before. It was like I had a permanent smile on my face the whole way through, and I was wide awake, because quite often I will drift off, but I was wide awake, fully present, with this big smile. And that's coming from, I'm feeling quite exhausted. I'm looking forward to having a few days off now, to just rest up. I don't know if it's the energies or just the running around and the flurry of energy I'm picking up from others as well, on top of my own. But to have that moment, or that good hour just laid there with that big smile, was refreshing and so welcome. So I'd love you to talk a bit more about, because you were part of that energy transmission last night, and we're right in the thick of this solstice energy. So I'd love you to talk more about that.
Happy to. And yes, you are right. I was there as a member of the Council of Light. And what I'm particularly wanting to bring through is not just messages about it, but transmissions of light in sharing here with you. And I mean this with all of you in this now moment. So when you can understand that while it is a time of the energies of the Christ, as you would know him, it is a time of the Christed light in general. Because Christ consciousness is not about Yeshua. He is a part of that. And whether you connect with him as Yeshua, or as Vicky does, as Sananda, as a full member of the Council of Light, you can tap into that Christ consciousness energy. You can connect with me and receive that Christ consciousness energy with Mary Magdalene. Now, this doesn't mean you need to keep to a more Christian tradition, not at all. Whether it's Maitreya or the Buddha or any ascended master, there's a reason why Vicky calls upon the Christed beings of light. Christed means anointed, the anointed one, anointed by the light. So when Yeshua was Christed, he was anointed by the light. And so by you receiving this light, it is supporting you first to connect with this light, next to attune to this light, and ultimately over time to embody this light. And so there is a process and certainly a journey that you would embark upon when you do this, because it is all according to your body's capacity to receive. Every experience of pain and wounding creates an energetic imprint in your body. And until that is healed and shifted out of your body, how is the light going to come through? Now, the light you can receive it, but what it may do is bring the shadows to the surface. And that is a whole experience in and of itself. You won't feel light-filled at that time. You will be fully in that healing process. And this comes to the next part of my message here today, my energy transmission, is that there has been a particular focus on that healing up until now. Look at the period of transformation that you have gone through 2020, 2021, and 2022. The solstice is the marker point for a change in those energies as you move forward into 2023 and beyond. This previous period was about releasing all that no longer served you. And this upcoming period from now forwards, moving forwards, is all about creating what does serve you. So you're in a different energy. That creative energy is going to build stronger and stronger as you move through this next period of time. So 2023 to 2026.
Okay.
So in this new creative energy, you are here now invited to look at how you may create the new earth energies in your lives. How can you allow and receive more of the Christ's light within your bodies? How may you anchor these energies and frequencies so that when you anchor them, you not only in yourself, you anchor them into the earth and therefore make more of these frequencies available to all. For this is what you are doing. So, dear light workers, this is your time. Many of you, most of you, have been through an intense period of transformation. Many of you have gone through the dark night of your souls. And now leaving this, you're coming into a rebirth, a reboot, if you will. And in this energy reboot, you are moving. Oh, Vicky's just got goosebumps all over her. You're moving into a grand period of co-creation where you may, just as demonstrated with the differences in the energies at the beginning of this transmission, in either being connecting to the frenzied energy of the old earth, or you may choose to focus upon the new earth energies and what you are creating. For even more of you, we would invite you to release your focus upon the old earth and create in the new. Now, there may be times where the old earth, old paradigms will confront you. What we would say, all of us, is you do not need to go into an old earth mindset, an old earth way of thinking, or of creating a solution to that problem. For now, you are recreating in the old earth energies. Stay in the new earth energies. And the new earth energies are in the consciousness of love, in that Christed light. When you stay in that energy, you will have a new earth solution. And now you are creating in the light.
I love that. And sort of two F words came up for me with old earth was frenzy and
Yes.
new earth was flow.
Yes. Yes. What I will add to your frenzy and flow is perfect for the new earth energies. There'll be flow, there will be collaboration, there will be community, there will be a gathering of people and of energy. In the old energy, there's certainly the frenzy of the chaos. But there's also the humdrum, the mundane, the sameness, the rigidity, the overly structured, where there is restrictions because everything is overly structured in how you should be or should do. So those certainly belong into the old earth. Isn't that interesting, however, that these are the energies that belong to wounding, and flow belongs to healing. In other words, those who have healed in relation to certain aspect. So you can see what is occurring is ultimately Gaia and your cells are healing from all the traumas of the past. And we are going all the way back to the fall of Atlantis and all the darkness that occurred there. Now remember, there was both light and dark. And as you heal and as Gaia heals from all of that, you come into flow. There is a layover, a parallel that is occurring here. To release the old woundings, you move into the light. Now, when this unfolds, and you can hold more light in your bodies, you can then see the circumstances of your life and see the circumstances of your world with new eyes. You won't only see the problems anymore. You will now see solutions. It is like you're receiving new lenses, which will help you to create a new vision for how the world could be. And in last night's, let's call it energy transmission, as the Council of Light, we shared our vision for what we will see. And we invited you to hold a vision for yourselves that you wish to create. So this is part of that process. Depending on how you see yourselves in the world will depend on what you will create. If you cannot see it, you cannot create it. You need to have the vision. So in having new lenses, you can now see solutions that you could not see before. And now you can see a vision for yourself and for the world that you could not think was possible.
And I think, like, with that vision work we did at the end of the solstice meditation, that it's something that we can build upon with this holiday period coming for myself. I've got I'm taking some time off, and I'm also like putting together a vision board workshop. So I think I'll create that for myself first, because even if I do a vision board for the next 12 months, it's creating that intention of growth. And now you've mentioned that, like, we've just come out of that 3-year period and we're moving into a different 3 to 5 years, was it? Or
until 2026.
3-year period,
Actually, that's for a 4-year period. It's a 4-year cycle.
Okay.
Yes. So you could be looking at, what do I wish to create by 2026? Last night we said, where do you wish to be in 5 years? Because you will have gone through that 4-year cycle. By 2027, you're in a whole other energy again. So that's 5 years into that future. So it may be helpful to set your intentions for this coming year, but it may be even more helpful to say, how does this fit into my vision for the next 5 years?
Yeah. 5-year
So for everyone, you'll need to work out what is your way to do this. It may be a mind map. It may be your vision board. For Vicky, it's intentions grid. So writing your intentions, she channels a grid, whether it's for herself or for another, and bringing through energy transmission channeled from the Akashic Records and your divine blueprint that will support those intentions. Now, a powerful process. Each of that helps you direct energy that can help create the future you wish to create. Vicky never starts the year without an intentions grid. And you'll see on her phone, on her screensaver from last year's. So that energy supports her for each year.
Lovely.
So however you wish to do it, dear ones, you may create an altar. For some, it will be with flowers and plants. With Vicky, as we said, crystals. For you, it may include words and images on your vision board.
Yeah.
And what we would say is you can meditate and be clear on your intentions. What we would also say is write them down, because you are helping those intentions come out of your head into the physical. You need them in the physical. So the intentions always go onto those grids. They're written down and onto those grids. Write them down. Then you may see them, and then you can turn those intentions into affirmations and declare them. And so another way of bringing it into the physical by speaking out loud. It's physical, it's on your paper. It's physical, you can see it. It's physical, you can see it and hear it and even touch it. If it's with flowers, you can smell it.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about sigils, that I create sigils as well with those intentions built into them. So
yes,
as another layer.
Absolutely. It's endless how we can do this. And people may share their own ways to bring this through. Yes.
It's exciting times. I just feel like I do feel the energy changing, and it's almost like we're taking off that old coat of the last few years, and
yes,
not just what's gone on globally, but what's gone on for ourselves personally.
Yes.
And stepping into a more, and what words kept coming through to me was trust in yourself this week.
Yes.
Trusting in ourselves. And I also reviewed when you came through in this Soul Sisters last time, was our 3rd episode. And I can't even believe that we've done this is a whole conclusion of a whole year of these Soul Sister channelings with you all, which is pretty special. 2 years ago, Vicky and I had no idea any of this was even going to be in our day-to-day world, and here we are. But
yes,
one thing that came through, and I think it was actually Aria Vaya that said it, but be at peace with your journey.
Yes.
And longing to be further along removes you from the present moment. So I think
perfect.
Even though we're talking about when we're talking about our vision boards and all that sort of thing, it's like who can we be in the present moment that takes us towards that intention, and how do we want to feel in that moment that takes us towards those intentions?
That is a perfect descriptor. Say it again, those two phrases back to back.
The be at peace with your journey. Longing to be further along removes you from your present moment.
Yes.
And as light workers particularly, we're always like,
yes,
I feel like I should be doing more and I should be more advanced. And I personally went through those struggles of, why am I not seeing this or doing that type of thing? So when I reviewed and saw that piece and went, okay, take us back into the present moment. And then even what we were talking with the keepers earlier about how we're going to move through family gatherings and traveling and all that sort of things that are coming up now, is how can we come back to the present moment?
Yes.
Breathe ourselves into that space, go into our hearts. And I think having you present here, like fully present with us at that moment, reminds us about going into that heart space.
Absolutely. When you're in that heart space, you are in that present moment. Now, most people can't sustain that. Yet, when you are so in that energy, and Vicky knows a saying from that same neuropsychiatrist, Dan Siegel, who says states become traits. Now, the more you're in the state of the heart, of the present moment, the more it becomes a trait in you that is just now who you are, what your energy is. You are present. You have the state of full presence, not just momentarily, but now you have claimed that for yourself. You have embodied that energy. So when you are fully present, there's a very different energy to how you interact with someone. You are no longer in that frenzied energy. You are no longer in that shut down, rigid energy either. You are fully open, fully alive, fully present, full of that heart, light, love, energy. And you were right. Yes, light workers particularly do this, often wishing not just for themselves, but for the earth to be further ahead than where it is. It is something that we see constantly. And this push, this urge to be further along than where you are, takes away from your journey. Takes away from your journey. You're wishing to be somewhere else other than where you are. And if you're wishing to be somewhere else other than where you are no longer in the present moment. You can be fully present in this moment of now and envision for your future, but you haven't left that present moment. You can think of it as a time travel. But you are fully present. You are in both moments at the same time. That is how time works. It is how time works in the non-physical. But here you are in the physical world of duality, where time is linear, and you are wishing to be somewhere else. You no longer are in this moment. You have left this moment.
And another thing, sorry, I was just thinking, like, we're talking about flow, and to me, flow is that up and
ebb and flow.
Down. And when people feel that you're a light worker or that you're doing this type of spiritual work, that you should be happy and joyous all the time. And I'm trying to explain, no, it's a flow effect. You have your highs and your lows.
Yes.
The more work I do on myself, I spend less time in the lows and can bounce back to the highs quicker.
Absolutely. What did we say last night? We said, breathe in and breathe out. That is your expansion and your contraction, your ebb and your flow. This is the rhythm of nature. This is what is natural to you. So these ebbs and flows, these expansions and contractions are necessary. You have to breathe out to be able to breathe in, and vice versa. So the contraction is part of the expansion. You cannot be expanded outward into the light for so long. You'll become unbalanced, and what happens? You will fall. This is what nature and the solstice teaches you. You will learn many lessons from nature. Here, where you are in the Southern Hemisphere, you're reaching out into the greatest light. You can only do this because your brothers and sisters in the Northern Hemisphere are in the greatest darkness. And then the sun will revolve and the cycles will turn. So you do not, when you're in the winter solstice or experiencing the winter solstice, you do not curse the darkness. You remember that there's always light, and the light will always return. You remember the light. I remember that the light is always within you, no matter how covered up it is, how veiled it is, no matter how buried it may seem to be, the light is always there. And you may think of your journey as being a process of uncovering, unveiling the light to find the light within. And each step upon the process will bring you closer to that. And seemingly, you may seem to go backwards at times in order to go forwards, because more light comes in. What do we say? Brings up the shadow. So you may seem to have gone backwards at that time as you go through that process of clearing, releasing, healing, and shifting out of your body and your experience and out of your consciousness, so that you now can receive more light.
And like you're saying, the light's always there. It's just like the stars in the sky, like they don't disappear.
Exactly.
They are there, but it's that illusion that we believe they've disappeared, even as just the sun's just shining so bright we don't see them, but they are there. And
when you understand that in the darkness is the point of creation, it is the great cosmic womb from which all life sprang. You are in a pure creative mode, where when you are in that darkness is why you require rest, is why you require sleep. It is why you require reflection to be the counterpoint and balance to your action and your doing and your outward expression. In other words, you need the yin and the yang. You need both. Both is necessary to all life.
And even when you said natural, it was like it made me think of nature all. We're all part of nature.
Yes.
And everything is nature.
Yes.
And we look at, for me, myself, that shamanism ways of connecting back with nature, connecting with Gaia, and being in nature and watching the ebb and flow of nature all around you. Like our trees are always showing us by different parts of the world, the colours of the leaves change, or they fall, or then they spring in spring, and we all go through that constant flow and ebb and flow.
Well, we come back to the main premise of our discussion. You are standing here, bridging heaven and earth, here to create heaven on earth. This is the new earth energies. So you need to accept your two-part nature of human and divine. And when you do that and you integrate it and you hold both truths at the same time, you hold both energies at the same time, heaven and earth within you. That is a marriage made in heaven. Yeah. So you are here to bring both together. So you must have compassion for yourselves on the human journey. And instead of judging yourselves for where you are, have compassion for yourselves with where you are. It comes to that trust of where you are is where you need to be. What does this moment hold for you? What is it showing to you? What is the lesson? What is the gift? And know that you can head anywhere to any destination from where you are now. So I wish to bless you all upon this path, both accepting where you are. Know that acceptance brings great creative power. When you accept where you are, you may come into the space of trust and faith in what is possible. You may trust yourself to move in the direction of any endpoint you see. You may also trust that we are here to support you in so much as you call upon us and invite us to co-create with you.
Thank you.
And then you may trust that each foot forward, each step forward takes you closer to where you are envisioning your endpoint to be. But know that once you get to that endpoint, you'll have reached a new horizon. And there'll be more vistas ahead of you, more journeys, more destinations, and it will forever unfold.
Beautiful, thank you.
From my heart, you have already received the gold thread. I am happy that it is so. Much love.
Always that beautiful mother wisdom.
Yes. Yeah, she always has a beautiful energy.
Okay, well, from Mother Mary, we'll be moving to Melchizedek for his entrance into our soul sisters.
Yes.
Channeling.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, like I was saying at the beginning, I don't recall of anything from that time when I channeled him for your birthday. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what he has to share. And people who have done sessions with me or meditations know that I call upon him and the Order of Melchizedek. So I do work with him in that way, but yeah, it's not often that we'll have anything direct from him. So I'm certainly intrigued in terms of ways, not just why it's coming through, but what's going to come through.
Yeah, and for just clarity of for my birthday, Vicky gifted me a session, and in the session I didn't know what was going to happen, and they said, right, who would you like to talk to? And I'm like, and I always knew there was someone present to my left all the time, just waiting, and I felt it was time, and I felt it was Melchizedek, and he come through and confirmed it was. So
yes,
that was really special for me to have that conversation with his energy, and we say his, but his energy in that that format. So it's going to be lovely to have him come through now. For everybody that's going to be watching this now, or in the, should we say, the present moment now.
Yes. And for those who are not familiar with him, he's mentioned in the Bible as a high priest of God. And from that perspective, people have been unsure whether he's ever been human, and I don't ever sense him. He's a high priest of God, he's up there with the Creator, and working in the light. The light is everything, and if you ever have any depictions of him, it'll be white, it's in the light. Now, the order of Melchizedek is then a group of beings who work with Melchizedek and align with him, and it's all about working in the light. So whether it's teachings or healing gifts or whatever it may be, they're aligned with that. And Keepers of the Keys are aligned with the order of Melchizedek. And Aryavaya that you mentioned earlier, they're my Andromedan guides, a collective of 18 Andromedan guides. They're part of the order of Melchizedek, and for them, they are teachers, and so they bring through teachings from within the order of Melchizedek. That's
what I get the energy of teacher.
Yes. Yes.
In my personal interactions.
Yes. Yeah.
Melchizedek,
they do have a very strong focus on teaching in general, like that order. So it's teaching all about the light, I suppose,
which is wonderful for us.
Yeah. All right, so should bring him through. Okay, here goes.
Hello and welcome.
Welcome, dear ones. I am Melchizedek. I have chosen to come through. It has been coming for a little while. It is about timing and allowing your guests to come in according to the order that was a perfect divine flow. And I'm pleased to be here to bring you teachings from within the light. That is a good way to put it. Know that the light may be expressed endlessly, variously, as you will see even across your spectrum of color. Yes.
Lovely. Well, it's lovely to have you here with us all. Just feel graced with your presence, as we do with everyone that comes through, and to feel that connection, that we're not separate from you, that we are all connected.
Not only are we all connected, your experience of separation is the anomaly. It is the anomaly, but it is also part of your human experience to experience the illusion of separation. For it is an illusion. Because you are in separate bodies, you perceive yourselves to be separate, you have separate minds, and you have a separate self. And therefore, you are feeling that you are separate from the all, when in fact, not only you are a part of the all, we mean that the all is within you. You are of the light. The light is within you. Therefore, the creator is within you. Therefore, you are God expressing themselves as you. And when you get to, yes, Vicky feels it. When you get to uncover who you really are, you are uncovering your light and therefore fully expressing as the creator as you. Everything else is part of that illusion of separation that covers up your light. The illusion of separation will bring wounding. It is the original wounding. Let me say, not the original sin. You could erase that and call it the original wounding. Original wounding is separation. And so when you uncover your light and able to fully radiate that light, and let me explain what embodying that light therefore means. You cannot fully embody the light when you have in your body energy imprints and somatic memories of wounding and separation. And so you have that light within you. And then what happens, you cover up that light. Some of that light will come up. That light is connected always to your higher self. Your higher self is part of that creator energy, not separate. Now, when you are able to release some of that shadow, for want of a better expression in one word, you can bring more of that light in. There is always light within you, but now you are increasing the wattage, so to speak. That light is your higher self. That higher self is part of source energy. And so when you can receive more of your light, more of your higher self in your bodies, this is where you anchor that light here on earth. This is when we say, we say you're creating heaven on earth. You are literally bringing heaven into your body. And therefore you are fulfilling the premise for the whole human experience, is that can you know yourselves as the light, as love in human bodies? This is the journey of the human experience.
It's interesting you mention the higher self, because last night in the solstice gathering with Vicky, it was like at the beginning I actually saw, because I see things as we're going through, a weaving of my higher self's energy and myself into that spiral. Yes. And then I actually became, I don't know the correct term for it, but that symbol that you quite often see on doctors.
Yes.
With the weaving. And what was
caduceus.
Yeah, I actually saw myself and my higher self weave together and become that healing symbol.
Beautiful. The caduceus, interesting story. The caduceus was the symbol of Asclepius, the god of medicine and healing. Now, that's the staff represents your central column, your central channel in your body. The two serpents that weave around is your Kundalini energy. And then as your Kundalini arises, what do you have? You have angel wings. Hermes adopts that caduceus. Some may know him as Mercury.
Mm-hmm.
You may know him as Hermes Trismegistus or as Thoth.
Okay, yeah.
Now, because it was originally the symbol of Asclepius as the Greek god of medicine and healing, modern medicine has adopted that symbol.
Mm.
Interesting, however, that he does not understand what the symbol represents.
Mm. Well, it came in strong last night.
Yes. Beautiful.
Mm. Mm.
And this is what Vicky often refers to, the angel within. And when you know her favorite quote from Michelangelo, when he says, I carve us. Let's begin again. I saw the angel within and I carved until I set him free.
Mm.
That is literally what we are describing when we are saying you're uncovering all these layers so that you can reveal the light that is within, is your angel within. So when you ultimately have this grand weaving, it's a beautiful word and an accurate one, of your higher self with you, as you're weaving your light, then you may attain your wings and become the angel within.
Mm. Beautiful. So we've themed this channeled message as it's going to be called an energy rebooting.
Yes.
So if you could lead us in some information or a practice that will be beneficial for everyone that's drawn to this in actually creating an energy boot for themselves.
Well, in an energy reboot, you may think of it as a rebooting of your light in your life. It is one thing to access the light in meditation. It is another thing to be able to be in the light as you go through your day-to-day life. Often, when people embark upon the spiritual journey, they will be meditating, can have a wonderful experience, and then bemoan their life and why the world is the way it is. They have not been able to bring that energy from their meditation into their life. So when you think of this energetic reboot, think of it as rebooting your life also. So light and life. And when you do this, what will then occur is a transformation. Now, this transformation period that you have moved through has prepared you for this energy reboot. And in this energy reboot, you are moving into a broader creative energy. Now, much of this has already been stated, but bear with me. When you reboot your energy, you reboot how you see the world, you reboot how you see yourselves, you reboot how you see life, and you reboot how you do life. So, and all this comes with a reboot of your being. When you uncover your light, you can now be the light. When you can move fully into who you really are, you can now be love. And when you move into that symbiotic relationship with Gaia, you not only anchor it within you, but you anchor it within her. And this energy reboot, therefore, brings you into a more integrated, more balanced, and more harmonious flow. This is where you experience greater synchronicities. This is where you experience greater collaborations, communities, and partnerships. This is where you will come into interdependence, where you can be fully whole and share in each other's wholeness. You are not broken, dear ones. You are whole. That wholeness is within you. You may have broken piece of you outside of that, but you're being broken open to reveal the light that was always within. It is kind of like thinking about the rebooting of your computer and how this began. What can support a computer's reboot is removing programs that no longer serve you. Viruses, malware, anything that it does not support and serve the most efficient functioning of that computer. So similarly, when you experience a reboot, you are releasing programs, layering of wounding, of separation, so that you can come into the most efficient, let's not just say functioning, but transmission and emission of your light in your lives. Some may call this a rebirth process. For some it is. In that case, we would say that there is multiple rebirths. So to be more accurate, there are more multiple reboots. You may go through one great rebirth and experience multiple reboots. But there is a similarity and a parallel.
And layers to things that I feel,
absolutely,
that I've let go of, and then something will come up and go, okay, I've still got a hold.
Yes.
Let go again, do it in different ways.
Yes.
Until all of a sudden you go, oh, okay, I've released myself from that.
Yes.
That way of thinking or whatever it might be.
Like you said earlier, you recover quickly, more quickly. You spend less time in those ebbs, in the contraction, or you, as we said, recover quicker from that contraction. You bounce back, in other words. It is like Mother Earth going through a winter, then coming into her spring, and then therefore into summer and into the greatest light. So all is just part of that process, and you may not bemoan that process because the fallow earth is necessary for the rebirth in the spring.
And I've just come in, like, I had 14 years in the outback, and our seasons are quite, there's a significant change in them, shall we say.
Yes.
But by the time you get through the winter season, you're really looking forward to autumn, and then you get into the thick of that and you're loving that. And then by the time you're getting through you're ready for the season to change again. And I think that's the same in life, like love where you are.
Yes.
And know that, we're all going through those cycles constantly. So I just remember, like, summer, we can't wait for summer to come out there, believe it or not. And our summers can get up to 55s.
Yes.
That's like Celsius, 55 Celsius out there. And people are like, how do you live in it? And we thrive in it. We sleep in the middle of the day. We do our work late at night, our housework. if we're cooking a roast, it gets cooked outside so we can still enjoy a roast. We don't heat ovens in the house. But by the time you get to the end of that season that you've really loved and enjoyed, you're like, oh, I'm ready to cool down again.
Yes. And for our North American viewers, 55 degrees Celsius is 131 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay, there you go.
These are extreme temperatures for anyone.
And then we go down to the minuses in winter overnight, but through the day I have my best tan in winter out there because you can't go out in the sun in summer.
It's too harsh. Yes.
It's just too much. You have long sleeve shirts on, light cotton, but long sleeve, and your hats and all that. So there's always something to look forward to no matter what season you're in.
And which comes to that loving your journey piece, which is loving your life. Otherwise, you are hating your life. When you hate your life, or you are disliking it, or you are bemoaning it, or you are critiquing it, judging it in any way, you are not creating flow for yourself. You are creating resistance. You are resisting what is. So therefore, there's a greater charge with what is. So you are therefore unable to shift out of what is because you're creating a resistance and charge over what is. Whereas if you can love, first accept what is, and then you may move into love what is. And sometimes there may be moments where you feel it's impossible to move into love. But if you can accept that either you are where you are and it is what it is, or that you cannot change the past is another big one. If you cannot change the past, you may, and you can accept that you cannot change the past, you may finally release the energy of grappling with that state. You are constantly fighting and resisting what happened. And unfortunately, that keeps it ever more alive in you.
And I also look at like dolly steps in that emotional world. Like I had someone said, I'm angry all the time. And that's healthier than being in fear. And they looked at me, what? And I said, well, if you're in fear, that's a lesser place to be in because you totally feel like you have no control. To step from fear into anger means, right, you're no longer in that fear, starting to express yourself. So you're sort of moving along that emotional spectrum. And I went, that's progress. You can understand what's making you angry, then you might be able to go to the next step in that process of moving yourself towards that balance point of love.
I'm going to speak from not just myself, but all of us at the order of Melchizedek. And what we would say collectively. We would agree with you that, yes, you are feeling safe enough to even express your anger. Because it is very common that, particularly for children, where they do not feel safe to express their anger and therefore go through a lifetime of suppressing that anger. And that anger then becomes internalized and makes your body sick, ultimately. And then that anger may turn inwards and turn into depression, which is that disempowered state. Now, what we would also say is, do not live in anger either. And it is, as you said, a step forward on that emotional scale. And moving forward means learning how to release that anger, learning how to express that anger in a healthy way, learning to understand why is the anger showing up for you? Where is the boundary violation? What has made you angry? Now, what is it that you must do about it? Make that anger in service of love. When you make that anger in service of love, you may say, all right, how do I need to protect myself, stand up for myself? And so therefore, because you love yourself, you are going to protect you and act for you on your behalf to ensure that you are not only safe in the world, but you have your needs met in the world. And when you do that with love, you can therefore lovingly express your boundaries, lovingly express what you wish to share and express and articulate, and therefore carve a way forward into the light of love by letting go of that anger also. Not by ignoring the anger, not by saying this is not spiritual, so I will not look at that anger, I will not feel the anger, I'm going to ignore it, but by acknowledging it, loving that anger for what it's showing to you, and then in the response of an energy of love, then responding to that anger, so it is an act of love for you.
Have that conversation with yourself. Why?
Yes.
What is this anger giving me?
Yes.
Just start asking those questions that can help you uncover it and move through it.
So this is what we would say, so that you can get to a space where you are loving your life. You will need to move through that emotional scale and move through what it has made you angry, not just in the present, but in the past, because you can hold that in your bodies all the way back from your childhood. And then there may be past life things that
I was going to say, further,
yeah, coming up too. There may be anger within your ancestral line, and is goes to transmute. So understand where that anger is coming from. This is all part of that journey back into the light. It is all part of that journey of uncovering your light. And so when you can not only uncover your light, but even before then, through the process of that uncovering, is allow love to be your co-creator and allow love to guide you. Love can guide you through your anger. It can guide you through the sorrows. It can guide you through all your pain and suffering. And love can guide you to a therapist or a healer. It can guide you to spending time with yourself. It can guide you to all of us here in the non-physical, in the light. Love can guide you. And when you become accustomed to allowing love to guide you, now you may see your life journey as a language of love, helping to lead you back to love and back to who you really are. Honoring that path, trusting that love is there always, even when you do not feel it, and knowing that the light is more powerful than the dark, as you would see it.
Big subjects.
Yes. So let me end with this final message for this season, because you are here on the precipice of an energy reboot, not just for yourselves, but collectively and for the earth. You're all moving into the light. And the Council of Light are overseeing this plan of light, the divine plan, and seeing that are unfolding here upon the earth. And as light workers, you have volunteered to support this divine plan here in the physical. It is a co-creation. And through this co-creation, when you anchor the light, you are supporting the divine plan of love and light. And you are therefore in service to the light. You may know that in the non-physical, there is only light where we are in the higher realms. And yet in the physical realm, there is that duality. Now, there may be times where you need to release the shadows back into the light, so maybe purified by the light. Other times where you can love it back into the light. If you rail against it, judge it, condemn it, you are creating the resistance to it and therefore locking in to that energy. So there are many of you on the spiritual path who have hooked in to that energy. Let go of the hooks. Love yourselves back onto this unfolding journey, back into the light for yourselves and for the earth. And then you will see this grand unfolding in a way that is not on your timeline. In other words, not according to your human ideas of that timeline, but it's held in the Akashic Records, in the highest potentials, in the divine plan for the earth. And you may think of it as being a divine blueprint for the earth. And the more you tap into love, the more you can access the higher and higher potentials, both for your lives and for the earth. Unhook yourselves, dear ones. See all that is love. Acknowledge all that is light. Move through this holiday period and beyond. Refresh yourselves. Reboot yourselves. Call upon the light. Call upon the Creator within. Your higher selves are there waiting. You may think of them like your guardian angel who is always with you, not just from birth to death, but across lifetime. You always have access to the light. And so my energy transmission to you all is a transmission of the light. From my heart to yours. Know that the light is here to serve you. We are here to serve you. Allow this light to move through your body wherever it is required. Allow it to reboot your energy. Refresh your energy. tap into this solstice light and this light of Christ consciousness. Allow this light to expand. And fold and encompass you. Allow this light to move through your chakras, through your light body. Allow this light to move through your multidimensional DNA. Allow this light to activate you. And allow this light to release you from the marble. So you may walk forward as the angel within. And so it is. It's gone.
There you go. I never knew. I had nothing prepared, and it just flows like every other time.
Beautiful. I'm just getting my voice back after he's left. It's like, oof, it was very sudden departure.
That's right.
Okay. Wow. Well, we've come to the end. So I will bring the keepers back. Okay. How did you enjoy that?
I loved the whole conversation, and what I would like to add to it, I just want to send out my thanks to you, of course, to Vicky, but to Mother Mary and Melchizedek as well, the order, everyone for coming through. We sort of are still in the energy and don't get to thank them straight away, but sending our love and gratitude.
We are eternally grateful for the opportunity for our sharing, our messages. And so we appreciate your appreciation.
And then around and around we go, weaving our co-creation together.
Yes. We are pleased with this co-creation, and we are pleased of not just these messages of light, but these transmissions of light, so that you may tap into as much as you need to, not just through these holiday season, but at any time, with tools, with transmissions, with messages, with the gathering of souls. So we will leave you with season's greetings, with blessings from the libraries of light, an acknowledgement of this grand co-creation as you move into the light.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.
And so it is.
And there we go.
Yes.
A little toolkit to get us through the next few weeks, and then some.
And then some, yes. Yeah. Beautiful.
Lovely. Well, thank you for your time, your energy.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and energy too.
It's been a wonderful year, and I feel we'll continue these on into 2023.
Yeah. I mean, when we started, it was end of last year. I think October last year is when we did the first one with Archangel Michael. I'll never forget that one, because it took me 2-3 days to recover from that one.
Yeah.
Look, I feel these will continue, and I think yes, they're getting yes.
Yeah, they're just laying groundwork.
Yes, this has just been preparation ground. Yeah, exactly. For so much more. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you for being my co-facilitator in this. And I look forward to what 2023 will bring, and the grander future that is ahead of all of us.
I'm really looking forward to the new year as well.
Yes.
Change in numbers. I love my numerology. So
yes,
if you just look at the year, I believe it's a 7.
Yes.
Yeah, it is 7. Going into a 7 year, which is always a magical
Wonderful
number to work through. Yeah. And then the next year is the 8. So then I can see why they're saying the next 4 year.
Yes.
4 years will bring us back up to that that 1 and that 11 energy, and
nice.
it is nice. Well, thank you, and stay safe, everybody.
Yes.
Enjoy those moments, stay in those present moments wherever you can.
Yes.
And we look forward to seeing you sometime soon.
And remember the light.
Yes, always.